artists are expected to be big in 2009. A lot of these tunes you may have already heard. And, well, the Sunday Times says any fan of the Postal Service, cut copy, hot chip or LCD sound system will love Passion Pit. And here's a tune from them, Sleepyhead.
Everything's going to the beat.
The Guardian website says they make electro twee ditties and euphoric gleetronica. So there we are from Cambridge, Massachusetts in the USA. Passion Pit and Sleepyhead. The Chunk of Change EP is available now online, and their debut album comes out in early 2009. So at some point, any moment now, we don't know when. And if there's one person who loves the likes of Hot Chip, it's the lovely Sammy.
And I love that. Although there was a little bit of my favourite Christmas song, The Spaceman Came Travelling by Krista Berg in the background there. But because it's my favourite Christmas song, I think I liked it that little bit more.
You were happy. Roof, is that the sort of tune that next year, at New Year, when you're listening to Dave Pearce's dance anthems, you'll be dancing along to?
I might actually. It had a nice festive feel to it that I like very much. And it's a kind of song, it's one of the only songs I've heard so far from this batch that I'd really go straight back to and listen to again.
And finally, Harry, you are not a man, I would suspect, easily pleased by electro twee ditties, or indeed euphoric gleetronica.
No, it's funny, the synths in that one didn't sound like Duran Duran. They sounded a bit like Rick Wakeman, who we were talking about the other week, who's going to be there at the end of the world. I quite enjoyed that, but I just thought about the Avalanches and how I used to like them, and then they disappeared, and I got a bit sad, and then I had to stop listening.
Right. Thanks. Well, this one, obviously, I was attracted to because I saw a description somewhere that said, like Prince's funk, as sung by Bruce Springsteen. I thought, wait a minute, hold your horses. Hold your tap dancing horses. This sounds like something right up Steve Street. The band are called Hockey, and the tune is Too Fake. The Enemy says, get used to this band, they'll be around a lot. See if you agree. From Portland, Oregon, touring over here in February, that's Hockey and Too Fake. As I say, I was attracted because they were described as Prince's funk as sung by Bruce Springsteen. Is that something that you'll be in agreement with, Rufus?
It's a big claim, isn't it, Steve? It's a big claim. And I don't know who could possibly match up to that, but Hockey didn't. Oh, finding out that the Arctic Monkeys were giving guitars for Christmas, and suddenly started strumming away, and then a year later formed a band and a best-selling record of the year. These guys sound like they were given synthesizers in about 1988. Roland DX7s and things like that, and I'm still kind of fucking mentioning some of the functions they do. No, I didn't get it. I don't like the synth sound that all these bands seem to be playing with.
As I say, these are tunes which have been, I've pulled them together from the various recommendations from the various music papers and the regular broadsheets and the blogs. These are all the bands that are being tipped. Hockey, are they going to be tipped by you, Sammy?
I liked it to start with, and I kind of got a little bit of the Prince vibe, but then I realised towards the end, I haven't been listening for about a minute and a half. I zoned out a little bit. Maybe need to hear a bit more, maybe some different stuff, but you can't entirely form an opinion on one song, but I didn't enjoy that. You're a big fan of both those people, what did you think?
Well, I'm afraid to say that my expectations were incredibly high. Some kind of Prince-Bruce Springsteen fusion would possibly be the greatest musical star ever, and would certainly be I would be a hero. I mean, they would be my hero. A sort of tiny, blue-collar, gruff, keeping it real, androgynous, purple-coloured pervert would truly be magnificent. But yeah, I'm afraid that Hockey is perhaps not living up to that expectation. Also, can't quite tell from there whether Hockey is a band or just a person, just a bloke. You know, got the one name like Prince, and the boss. Hockey, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage. Hockey doesn't really work. How does it work for you?
Should call ourselves sports.
Sports.
Are you a fan of sports? No, like Sammy said, I just completely lost interest halfway through and started looking at other stuff out the window, and it's dark and there's nothing to see.
We shall compile together this list, and we will make a record of it, possibly on the web, on the Steve Show site, and then if we're still here in 12 months' time, we will look back to see how these recommendations have fared in the tough music business. A lot of people saying it's going to be grim in 09. We shall find out how they've done.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been emailing and texting and actually giving their tips, which is quite nice as well. So Stephen and Becky in Islington say the Wild Beasts. Weldon Timmings, and likely named show friend, says Moving Units. Mark goes for Polly Scattergood, and Paul went for the Boxer Rebellion. Now, I don't know how many of these people are actually in these bands. We never can tell. But let's assume they're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts.
Well, we shall, if I can take that list with me, and I'll perhaps look into some of those artists and see if they're worth playing in future shows. One more tune that's being tipped, or I should say artist that's being tipped for 2009, Kid Cudi, or Kid Cudi, Kid Cudi. It's up to you to decide how to pronounce it. Currently, apparently, the hottest hip-hop artist in the US, has been signed to Kanye West's label and features on Kanye's current album, and we'll be supporting him on tour. And see what you make of Day and Night. It's difficult sometimes when you hear that someone's got a lot of buzz around them to, you know, fully anticipate what that's going to be like. Particularly with hip-hop, it's like, whoa, this is going to have to be pretty outstanding, pretty breathtaking. Has Kid Cudi done it for you, Sammy, Day and Night?
Nope. I don't want to listen to it in the day or at the night. I'm just not at all touched, moved, any way, shape or form by that song.
As I say, we'll be keeping a note of these names that have been recommended by the music know-it-alls, and we'll just see how they fare in, well, the end of 2009. Do you feel that we're going to be hearing a lot more from the Kid, Roof?
The Kid should keep to his sixth form Christmas concert. Now we've got Kid Cudi. He's going to sing a song with the synthesizer. Yeah, that's where he's going to stay.
Yeah, it was just horrible. Really, really bad.
Thank you very much indeed for your opinions. We will squeeze. We will squeeze. Hey, this is the perfect segue, because we have apparently now, and we'll probably pursue this as a campaign next week and in future weeks on the Steve Show, but Sammy's very keen to try and get a word in the dictionary in 2009, and screws could well be one of them.
We've had a nice text here. I don't know who it's from. I've just written it down quickly here. My word in the Oxford English Dictionary you can have: my 12-year-old son, while I was tasting a wine freebie in a shop, he said I was driving, so I should not drink samplimentary wine.
Samplimentary wine. How would one use that in another sentence?
Well, it perfectly in that sentence. Would you like to try this new product, madam? It's samplimentary.
It's samplimentary, yeah.
Really nice.
Okay, so a complimentary, but also a sample.
Yes.
A samplimentary wine.
Credit where it's due, that was from mystery texter ending 35.
I think we all know that he or she is. Well, thank you so much for contributing, guys. Yeah, and I think maybe we should try and we'll continue this in future weeks, Sammy, and see if we can actually get a word in a dictionary. Because there's always new entries every year, aren't there? I mean,
Every
I think
single
didn't
year.
Chav go in last year?
Well, probably the year before, but it has to become commonplace and it has to be published in something. So it's going to be a big thing. But we've got 12 months. It's a long time.
There's plenty for us to do, plenty of us to think about as well, guys. Okay, and if you want to contribute to the musical, Canoe Man the Musical, by all means get in touch with us.
Yeah, Daz emailed in and said a good track to adapt would be Talking Heads' Road to Nowhere.
Thank you. Nice. We'll have to get Byrne on board. Tricky.
Yeah.
Difficult man to work with, apparently. Just ask the rest of the heads. I'm afraid, Rufus, we've not got time for your tune.
That's fine. Maybe I can use the time that would have been spent playing it, just asking for, in 09, a return to common decency, decent values, and a gentlemanly chivalric a look on life.
Do you know what I would love to see? I would love to see, perhaps, Prince William just take Amy Winehouse out on a date, and maybe they fall in love, and he just puts her back on the straight and narrow. Wouldn't that be great?
King and Queen of England.
It would be truly, truly beautiful. Maconey's next. Thanks for listening. From their album Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, Smashing Pumpkins, and 1979. Do not be confused, it wasn't recorded in 1979. They merely refer to it in the song. Steve Show, 6 Music with me, Steve Merchant. Lots more rock facts like that in the next couple of hours. Don't forget, of course, that my cronies are here. I'm sure they'll be able to contribute. We've got, on my left there, it's Harry, who works in a bank.
Yeah, I do. Thanks, Steve. Yes.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright, not bad.
We have got a very super posh man, nothing wrong with that though, adding a bit of class to the BBC.
Good afternoon, Stephen.
Rufus, sporting a beard, nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that, Stephen. I spent the morning doing something reasonably posh.
Really?
Yes. I, as a gift last year, this is from my uncle, I was given the gift of a
Carving lesson. Wow. Now, I'm presuming that you don't bother carving chicken, you go straight to pheasant.
Peasant being a posher bird than chicken. You work
Actually, no, sorry, that was a mispronunciation. I meant peasant. Yes.
stuffed peasant.
Stuffed
stuffed
peasant.
with even
Yeah.
poorer
With
peasant.
goose.
Yeah. We worked on forerib of beef. We worked on lamb shoulder, lamb leg, pork joint, turkey.
Wow, that's so posh.
Yeah.
It's the idea as well that one would be browsing in a very posh shop and see that as a gift option. I think that suits Rufus perfectly.
Yeah.
A carving lesson. Is there much technique to carving that I would have already mastered?
Well, there is quite a lot of it is about the roasting itself. The biggest tip I learnt was that you should rest meat for as long as you've cooked it, for instance.
What?
Oh, yeah.
That's preposterous.
It's amazing. It stays hot and it carries on cooking. All the juices go back into the joint. It's a good chat for Sunday afternoon.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
If someone's maybe preparing a late afternoon roast.
Exactly.
Does that work for sausages as well, Ruth?
No. I think it
So
works
hang on,
for-
if I've spent 2 hours cooking a lovely roast, I've got to wait another 2 hours before I can eat it?
Well, you should have reduced the cooking. You should reduce the cooking time. So if it advises you to cook a rib of beef or a thing of beef for an hour and a half, cook it for say 45 minutes, rest it for 45 minutes. So, or cook
And
it for
will
an
it still
hour,
be
rest it for
warm?
an hour. It'll still be warm. Yeah, it's amazing. We couldn't. These things were left on the side that we were carving for about an hour and a half. And he'd carve into it, and then we couldn't touch the meat inside. It was still too hot to touch
This
after
is
an hour and a half.
dynamite information
Yeah,
to
it's all
kickstart
good
our show
stuff.
on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, but let's remember, part of BBC Meat Awareness Week, you should always make sure that your meat is thoroughly cooked.
Oh,
Anyone who
please.
does get botulism as a result of Ruth's
Exactly.
tips,
Yeah.
the BBC's not responsible.
It's
Yeah,
your own
you're
fault.
quite right. I would love to say that there are many other carving courses available in a good BBC way. I'm not sure if there are. All I know is, Simpsons in the Strand, you only get an apron and a carving knife and fork at the end.
Oh, as a free gift to take away.
Yeah.
And just very quickly, before we move on to Sally from the North, who's already wondering what the hell is a leg of beef or a rump of beef. She's no idea.
No idea. It's all kind of
Never heard of it
packets,
like
isn't it?
exactly. If you'd perhaps been to How to Unpeel a Pot Noodle, then she's all interested.
You laugh, but that's tricky because if that foil seal breaks in half, it's very hard to keep the steam in there to cook it properly.
Very true. Thank you very much. Well, we'll come to that shortly because I'm sure we've got a lot of proper plebs listening as well, so they'll enjoy that. But just quickly, how would I approach? I've got my lovely rump of, or would you say a four head
beef.
of beef?
Forerib. F-O-R-E, forerib.
A
Yeah,
forerib.
yeah.
A four-head of beef.
Yeah.
And I'm serving later to the mayor and his wife.
Or the king.
The king,
Yeah,
possibly. Or Prince Harry, bawdy.
Yeah.
That would be a bawdy thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Edgy. Hey, don't have a go at me. He's the edgy one.
Yeah.
I'm merely reporting it. Don't shoot the messenger. Or call him anything unpleasant. So yes, I'm approaching the four hind of beef.
Yeah.
And how do I begin?
Well, you've wetted your knife, obviously,
Naturally.
on your steel or your
Yes.
whetstone.
Whetstone. Is that like a waistcoat?
A little bit,
Yes, a
It might,
whetstone.
it might be pronounced whetstone, but whetstone sounds better.
Yes.
So you've sharpened it, and don't let anyone else use your whetstone because they will sharpen it in at different angles and therefore blunt the keen edge of your
Heaven
blade.
forbid.
Exactly. And then you should approach it by clearing all obstacles out of the way first.
Right, and do you approach with stealth?
You don't need to stalk your prey.
Okay,
It's
right.
long dead.
It's long dead.
It's long dead.
Still warm, but
Approach it-
warm-blooded, but still
Exactly.
dead.
But approach it with respect, obviously.
Of course, always.
And then using a long sawing motion, aim for a 3mm width. For all meat, actually, listeners, should be sliced, carved with a 3mm width.
Yes.
And if someone does insist, if someone insists on having overcooked meat, well done meat instead of medium rare, which are all rare, then just put it on a very hot plate. That'll cook it through a little bit longer for them.
Wow, this is extraordinary information.
We could spend all afternoon talking simply about meat.
I don't doubt it. Weirdly, I have my own meat-related anecdote. On Friday night, I was out, and I carried a bag of meat into a casino. More on that story after Eagles of Death Metal. So there we are, Eagles of Death Metal from their new album Heart On, and that is called How Can a Man With So Many Friends Feel So Alone? We will return to the Eagles in a second, but obviously I just wanted to offer a little clarification. Carried a bag of meat into a casino Friday night, probably not intentionally, popped to, it's not a great story to be honest, I've given you pretty much I've given you the meat of the story. Good night, thanks very much, that's the BBC.